Brett, what is going on in the great state of Wisconsin today?
Things are looking good. The weather appears to be holding off here in Wisconsin. That was something we were really worried about at first when the forecast first came out last week. We were worried that this was going to be a big downpour kind of day, but the rain is holding off. The temps are in the mid-60s, so that's looking really good for people to come out and wait at the polls. We're seeing massive lines in areas where we need to rack the score up in plurality Republican areas. So far, looking on at the in-person front, things are looking promising.
So do you feel better on the ground than you did in 2020?
I feel way better on the ground than I did in 2020. I know you guys had Terry Dietrich here on the show last week, and he had mentioned that there was really no effective ground game when it came to early voting in 2020. This was the first election cycle that we really honed in on it. And you're seeing the numbers. I mean, it's coming to fruition in front of our eyes. I mean, in heavy Republican counties, you're seeing like Washington County, for instance, part of that WOW County, the Milwaukee suburbs. They're reporting a 98% mail-in return rate, which is just crazy in comparison to say a 95% return rate that you're seeing out of Milwaukee County. Based on percentages, returns alone, you're seeing a heavy Republican county outvoting a heavy Democrat county. So absolutely, I feel better, and I'm feeling better by the day as these numbers have continued to come out.
Are we seeing a big surge out of Milwaukee for Democrats or Dane County?
No. In fact, you're seeing early voting returns low in comparison to what they have been. So you know that they're not coming out on election day. So we appear to be losing by less in areas where we absolutely needed to do that, Dane and Milwaukee County. And we appear to be winning the rack the score up game in counties like Waukesha.
Tyler, do you have a thought for Brett? Welcome, by the way, Tyler Boyer, CEO of Turning Point Action.
Literally just stepped in. He's been working the Turning Point Action HQ command center room all morning. So welcome, Tyler.
And it's a total command center in Wisconsin, as Brett's covered. We're curing ballots in Wisconsin, the largest curing operation happening for the conservatives in Wisconsin right now, where he's at right now. And then obviously we're doing all our calls and texts. Brett, How are things looking in our rurals with our more rural team? What are some of the reports that we're getting from kind of the upper side in between the Fond du Lac and Brown County areas?
Yeah, so I'll give you an example. So like one of the rural counties that I've had my eye on now for a little while is St. Croix County. You're seeing a 163% YTD increase in returned absentee ballots compared to 2022. So, that was kind of the last election cycle that we had anything like even close to an early voting ground game. So if you're seeing 163%, and that seems to be kind of the trend of all of these rural counties, seeing like upwards of 150% increase YTD from 2022 in returned ballots in heavy red counties. I mean, we're doing the job then that we need to do in racking up the score.
So, Andrew, do you have a thought for Brett here?
Well, I mean, Brett, I know you're overseeing, not just Wisconsin, but you've got your eyes on other states, PA, North Carolina, Georgia. Give us a smattering of the reports coming in, especially North Carolina. We haven't heard much from North Carolina right now.
Yeah, North Carolina is interesting because that's going to be one of the first states that we hear from tonight. They end up ending their polling at 7:30 Eastern, so we're going to hear from them pretty early. Our field staff is reporting long lines in heavy rural areas. So, I mean, you're seeing the same trend that you would in a state like Wisconsin or a state like Arizona right now, seeing long lines in areas where we absolutely need to have that. So, I mean, the good news is we're going to know about North Carolina pretty soon here, like within if it's 5.5 hours here. So I'm curious here, just like you guys, waiting on pins and needles.
Brett, have you heard back to Wisconsin, have you heard from Hovde in his camp? Like what's the mood on the ground inside his war room?
The Hovde camp has picked up some momentum the last week here. I think the assumption was always it was just a matter of, the more that Trump performs better here in Wisconsin, that he was going to bring candidates like Eric Hovde up the ballot in the same way that Trump would bring up Kari Lake in Arizona. It's become increasingly clear that Hovde has a better path to victory here. I can give you guys an example of a ward that we've had our eye on for some time now, Pewaukee, kind of a heavy Republican stronghold. Hovde's going to win if the turnout game is strong, and he's one of those candidates that absolutely can say that. it just turned noon here in the central time zone, and we just had one of our guys on the ground go to this polling location, Wagner Park, that we've identified 1,000 conservatives that are not voting. They already are reporting a number of 687. It's not even noon yet. So the turnout game appears to be on the strong side. I don't want to get out in front of our skis here, but that's going to look really promising for Eric Hovde this evening.